Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video. If you are new to this channel, my name is Frank Tu, and I'm a college professor teaching sociology, history and philosophy. I'm also an award-winning landscape photographer. If you live here in America, you should know that this year, 2026, marks the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Throughout the country, multi-day celebrations have been scheduled. For example, this video is scheduled to be released on Saturday, July the 4th. And of course, in this video, I'm going to talk about Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson was one of the so-called founding fathers of America. Throughout his life, he achieved great reputation in many areas as a lawyer, an architect, a philosopher, and a politician. But most important of all, the fact that he was the author of the Declaration of Independence and the third president made him the most remembered and influential founding father, except George Washington, perhaps. The story I want to tell in this video, however, is about him as an intelligent figure of outstanding accomplishments and a man of controversies. In his early years, Jefferson studied law with a very famous lawyer, as there was no formal law school at the time. In 1765, he opened his own legal business and thus started his public career. As a result of his intelligence, broad knowledge, and diligent work, his legal practice grew rapidly and soon became a very successful lawyer in Virginia, which was the largest of the 13 colonies at the time. His experience as a successful lawyer paved the way for him to enter politics later on. In 1769, he was elected to Virginia Legislative Assembly, and in 1779, he was elected as governor of Virginia. Though Jefferson is not widely regarded as a systematic philosopher, he was deeply influenced by many well-known European philosophers, such as John Locke. He never wrote a formal philosophical book, but his brilliant philosophical ideas were embedded in American foundational documents, such as the Declaration of Independence. Speaking of the Declaration of Independence, this famous political document made Jefferson famous more than anything else. In mid-June 1776, when the Independence War was in the second year, Jefferson was chosen by a committee of the Second Continental Congress to write a document justifying the separation from Britain. He was selected because, as John Adams said, nobody could write better. For the next several weeks, Jefferson sat in a small room in Philadelphia and finally came up with this brilliant piece of writing. The document was officially approved on July the 4th, 1776, which is why the Independence Day is July the 4th. That was the day when America was formally declared to be independent from Britain. However, this document was initially regarded as a collective endeavor by the Congress. Jefferson was not recognized as its author until 2 decades later. The document which turned out to be one of the foundational texts for the nation, was a brilliantly and eloquently written defense for the American Declaration of Independence from Britain. Nowadays, however, the significance of this document lies in its articulation of several philosophical principles, such as government by consent, natural rights, and the right of revolutions. For most Americans, this document is not remembered for its words about independence, but for the words about equality and rights, which are brilliantly expressed in this very famous sentence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is worth noting that the famous phrase, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, was actually adapted by Jefferson from John Locke, who wrote about the natural rights of life, liberty, and property. The exact reason why Jefferson changed the last word property into happiness remains unclear. However, with the benefit of hindsight, the change is significant for two reasons. First, it obviously broadens the concept of natural rights beyond material possession. Moreover, which is even more important, by replacing property with happiness, Jefferson avoided the delicate issue of slavery at a time when slave owners claimed ownership of their slaves as property. In doing so, he undermined the idea that people could be owned as property, thus politically paving the way for the abolition of slavery in America. At the time, this sentence by Jefferson was considered as a liberal statement. But the fact that it was written by Jefferson has also stirred controversies nowadays. He is criticized by liberal-minded people for being hypocritical. His critics argue, how can you claim that all men were created equal and you yourself were one of the biggest slave owners? Besides, unlike George Washington, Jefferson never set free his slaves, except a few. Of course, Jefferson was a person of his time. He needed slaves to pay his debts. He had spent lavishly on books, musical instruments, paintings, china, and his own house. His debts were secured by the value of his slaves. Thomas Jefferson was elected the third president in 1800. However, he never enjoyed his years at the White House. The two terms of his presidency were full of controversies from the beginning in 1801 until 1809. Even his election victory of 1800 was controversial because he failed to win it outright and only became the president after several rounds of votes in the House of Representatives. He came to the office with a huge ambition, but he achieved very little during the 8 years as president, except perhaps for the so-called Louisiana Purchase, which doubled the size of America at the time. Throughout his life, he loved politics, but he did not want himself to be remembered as an unsuccessful politician. In his gravestone, which he designed himself, he only mentioned that he was the author of the Declaration of Independence and the father of the University of Virginia, without even mentioning that he was the third president. What made Jefferson a controversial figure more than anything else was his secret love affair with a slave girl called Sally, who bore several children for him. During his lifetime, Jefferson was known as a man of intelligence and integrity, and he made efforts to maintain his fame. But his relationship with the girl after his wife had died became one of the biggest sexual scandals in American political history. Sally had been one of the slave girls brought to Jefferson's house by Martha, his wife, when they got married. As the illegitimate daughter of Martha's father with a slave woman, Sally grew up being more and more attractive. After Martha died because of ill health, Jefferson never remarried. However, he became closer and closer to Sally. When Jefferson was sent to Paris as a diplomat, he took Sally with him as a servant. By this time, Sally was already a beautiful teenage girl. Eventually, they developed and maintained a long sexual relationship. Neither Jefferson nor Sally admitted it, but her children looked like him, and it became an open secret that he had fathered them. By the way, modern DNA tests prove that they were indeed his descendants. Jefferson was quite talented in design and became an architect through self-study and first-hand observations in Europe. One of his works was his own home, known as Monticello in Virginia. Nowadays, if you pay a visit to this great mansion, you will be amazed by its beauty and its Roman and Renaissance style. Jefferson also designed the University of Virginia, which until today has been recognized as one of the most beautiful college campuses in America. Thomas Jefferson was also an accomplished violinist. He said he practiced 3 hours a day when he was a child. When he was studying at the College of William and Mary, he participated in weekly concerts. Later, he became a member of a chamber music group that often played for the royal governor of Virginia. Throughout his life, he would carry a violin with him wherever he went. Jefferson died on July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. According to some historians, in his final days, he would ask what day it was every morning. He closed his eyes forever until he was told that it was July 4th. Well, I think that is all for today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.